Welcome to Fly on the Wall. Thank you for joining us again. This week, Marquita and I present part two of our series, Love in the Rona. So sit back, relax, get ready to laugh and learn about love in the Rona, how to maintain those relationships, and what to do if you're quarantining apart. What about the folks who have the relationships in the Rona and are quarantined together and
Okay, working
uh,
together.
are trying to navigate that?
Yeah.
And I asked that because, as I said, I have some patients who are working from home and things like that, and they have their, they have small spaces. Because I see patients in New York, and unless you balling, then your space is small in New York. So,
I
so
think that
go
just
ahead.
having balance, I think is the most important thing with that. And having balance in the household duties as well as a balanced regard for the other person's needs.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people in general who need a lot of alone time. I'm one of those people. Like, I'm not somebody who's energized by crowds
Mm-hmm.
or by being with a large group of people or whatever. I know there have been some people who have had a really difficult time with the quarantine because they like to be around people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel better and more energized and more clear when I'm by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So even in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy spending a lot of time with my man, but
Mm-hmm.
I also enjoy my time by myself. And so that having that mutual understanding, and then whatever his affinity is, having balance and regard for what he needs.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this one friend who's married. She and her husband have been married, I think, like 10 years or something like that. And they have a pretty good balance. Like they have a certain way that they manage the kids and manage time with one another. And he works from home. And when she needs time by herself, she'll just let him know, hey, I need to do such and such for a couple of hours just to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And now the small space, like you mentioned, that
Mm-hmm.
is definitely a factor.
Okay.
Fortunately for them, they have a pretty big house.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, one of them might be upstairs in the living room, while the other one is in the finished basement watching TV, and the kids may be playing, whatever. So then everyone's getting their time.
Mm-hmm.
But that space definitely matters.
Yes.
So, tell me about some of your friends in the smaller spaces
Well, these are clients I
or
have.
clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have one client that I'm thinking about that both he and his girlfriend are working from home,
Mm,
and they have a one bedroom, and so they're both in the living room, um, and they both have their desk and they sit back to back,
okay.
and they have their headphone sets, but they can still overhear each other. One may be trying to concentrate while the other one is in the meeting, and vice versa. And then there's, one may be going up to get snacks and so on and so forth. So it's a lot of distraction
Yeah.
for them, but also just being around each other for so many hours a day, and then fusing those workspaces with the home life spaces. And another patient I had was like, her partner was upset because they have different work schedules,
Mm,
and so her partner was feeling like she was not prioritizing time with her outside of the work schedules. Like, you get up, you go to work, and then I'm done before you and you're still working, and then you don't make time to come hang out with me afterwards.
mm.
And then my patient's like, yes, but I'm tired. And so it's those sorts of things balancing schedules, space, and also each other's needs
Mhm.
that I've been hearing people really struggling with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that definitely prioritizing the relationship is
Hmm.
important if you want to keep it. So yeah, making sure that your client actually makes time to spend with her partner
Hmm.
is definitely important. And even though the other couple is struggling with being in a small space, I think it's good that they have um, a specified workspace within their home,
Hmm.
because I don't believe in bringing work into areas like the bedroom or other spaces that I consider sacred spaces, because they are where you rest, they are where you commune with one another, they're where you love on one another and stuff like that. So making sure that work stays away from that, I think is a great idea regardless of the size of the home. But yeah, prioritizing the relationship is definitely important,
Yes.
whether you live with your partner or not.
Hmm. And that communication too, because oftentimes what it comes down to with my clients is just that having conversations like, well, did you let your partner know how you felt about the
Right,
walking back and forth while you're trying to, into the kitchen while you're trying to work? No. Well, how are they supposed to know that this is
right.
on you?
If you don't tell them,
Yes.
nobody's a mind reader
Right.
here. Okay.
And
Yeah.
then, I've had some clients that we have that conversation, and then they do tell the partners, like, and then I check in again, and I'm like, so how's it going? Oh no, they said they understand and they don't do it anymore. See, and now you had all this anxiety building up. You were concerned about, you didn't think the relationship could continue, and all you needed to do was have a conversation. So sometimes
Right.
that simple step of direct communication, it typically handles, I would say, at least 80% of the stuff.
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing how people carry expectations, and then they just think people are supposed to magically know what their expectations are and meet them when they
Yeah,
haven't said anything.
right. And so yeah, so mind reading, is what we call it. And you're familiar with that term.
Hmm.
That believing that we know what's in other people's minds, right? And also believing that people should know what's in our minds, right? Like,
Right.
I shouldn't have to tell them that. Who says who?
Well, how are they supposed to know?
Right.
If you shouldn't have to tell them, then you shouldn't expect them to know. That's simple.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting because to me that's something that I find across clients that I have to remind them of on pretty regular basis. That, well, did you have a conversation with this person? No. All right, so let's think about how to have a conversation with this person. What are some barriers? What are some facilitators to that conversation?
Yeah.
How might we anticipate, this conversation? What do we want to get out of the conversation? So on and so forth. So yeah, I think to me that always tickles me that people expect people to know stuff but don't communicate with them. So communication, people, that's the tip.
Yes.
Communication, direct communication, not passive communication, not passive aggressive communication. Hey, Keita, your outfit look cute. Direct communication. Okay.
Right. Right. Exactly. You know what? You just made me think of something else. And I know a lot of people don't like this because they feel like it makes them too routine, but it can be helpful, especially when quarantining as a family, when
Mhm.
you have parents who are working from home and the kids who have been out of school, what, since March?
Yeah, for a while.
For a while, yeah. And that is a schedule, just maintaining a schedule. And I think that having school age children maintaining a schedule in the home during quarantine is even more important because they will go back to school one day.
Yes.
And So it'll create a less of an adjustment period for them when they do go back to school. But also, you can schedule family fun. You can schedule a break when everybody is separate from each other. You
Mm-hmm.
can schedule workouts. You can schedule meal times. Whatever is going to help you maintain your sanity, your sense of peace in the household, I think it's important. And then the couples that you mentioned, they can schedule that time together.
Yes.
And I think that will make it a little bit easier to manage everything.
So
And
tip,
then kind of like alleviate the pressure because it's already defined,
yes,
you know.
there's
It,
structure, there's boundaries.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that's tip two for couples that are quarantining together with or without children.
Yeah.
Schedule in time together, schedule in activities so that one, their structure, you know what to expect, but two, you could then make sure that you're prioritizing and making time for the things that are important for you.
Exactly.
So let's talk about these couples who are quarantining apart from each other.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that has to be really difficult. My partner and I were doing that for a little bit at the beginning
Hmm.
of the Rona, because as you know, we live in different places. And at the beginning of the Rona, because I'm, in a high risk category, I wasn't taking any chances. So I was just like, you got to stay over there until you figure out what your health status is with the Rona. So eventually he was able to get a test and was, came back negative and everything like that. I was like, come over here immediately now. But before that, right, we
Yeah.
were quarantined apart. And so we did a lot of FaceTiming, a lot of video calls, which was helpful, but it still was not the same, you know.
Right.
But it was helpful. It was better than nothing. So tip tip one for couples quarantining apart: utilize your technology as much as possible. Make it work for you.
Hmm.
The other thing I will say is that I also noticed that I would have a tendency to try to, even though I knew it wasn't his fault, it's the same, it wasn't mine that we were apart
Hmm.
in the quarantine. I still found myself wanting to blame him. Like, well, if we were already living together, then we
You
wouldn't be
wouldn't have
apart
to
now
try.
in the quarantine, And so I think that's another tip that I would say is to check and make sure that the things that are being brought up in the quarantine are about the quarantine and not about something you've been carrying the
Hmm.
whole time. And now maybe the quarantine is making it seem more extreme. But
Hmm.
sometimes it's stuff we've been carrying because I was carrying that
Hmm.
before the quarantine, and then the quarantine kind of brought it to the forefront. So then I had to check that baggage, and be
Hmm.
like, hold on, now you said you was ready to move forward, but
Hmm.
apparently there's still a little piece of garbage on your shoulder. So
That's what it
let's
sounds like to me.
what is this about? Right.
Right.
So I had to check myself. So be aware of baggage that quarantining apart may be triggering, and check the baggage and not necessarily put it onto the partner because it may not be your partner stuff. It may
Right.
be residual baggage.
Right.
Yeah.
I love how self-awareness is always the answer.
Yes.
I mean, it really is. It doesn't matter what our topic of conversation is. Self-awareness is always a defining component because if you don't know what's going on with you, then you can't understand your responses to what's going on in the world, or at least not on a level that's really going to be helpful, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So I just love how self awareness feeds into everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I like what you said because I'm thinking now if I'm guilty of doing that as well.
Mm.
Because, as you know, I have a special friend,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I call him. And we have been quarantining apart. obviously. And he's been working from home and he's a single father. So, raising his boys and taking care of his responsibilities with work
Mhm.
is a lot.
Yeah.
I have a history of throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Okay.
So my first defense mechanism to use is to kind of kill the dream.
Okay.
And so I get in the mode where I'm like, oh, well, I ain't heard from him. So I guess he can't talk to me. I ain't gonna talk to him either.
Yes.
Right?
Uh,
All of this is happening in my head, right? So I'm aware that it doesn't make any sense.
uh-huh.
Because when I think about everything that goes into working from home, and um, I know typically it's nothing for him to work until 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and still take care of the boys, figure out what to feed them, make sure they're bathed in, and all that kind of stuff. That's a lot of work. And when I think about it, it makes me tired just to think about. But, in my imagination, it's easy for me to lack compassion for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I like what you said about being aware, number one, of the baggage that you're carrying,
Mm-hmm.
and then checking it because it has nothing to do with that other person.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, compassion has come back up
Yes.
as well. So having compassion for your partner that you're quarantining separately from, because obviously you have your desire to be with them. You have had a relationship up to this point, so obviously they have a desire to be with you as well. But just recognizing that each of you may have individual responsibilities that you're maintaining in your household separately that the other person is not aware of, and then not trying to hold them accountable for what they're not aware of, and being compassionate and all of that. And once again, making sure that you're scheduling and prioritizing the relationship. I think that the quarantining separately kind of creates the same opportunity as the new dating situation,
Mm-hmm.
where you do have the opportunity to have conversations, like you said, utilizing technology more and
Uh-huh.
maybe delving a little bit deeper.
Yes.
You already know me. I like to hold people accountable and I like to get below the surface very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So just figuring out different ways to do that, and also making sure you're doing that with yourself. So when I start imagining these things, I'm also saying, Marquita, does that really make sense? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then being honest with myself, nah, girl, it don't make no sense.
Mm-hmm.
So then I can change that behavior
Yeah. Sometimes we have to check ourselves.
all the time.
Yeah.
Because I can be a very imaginative person.
And we know that I can be a lot and dramatic. So,
Oh my gosh, yes.
yes.
So dramatic.
So dramatic. But I like what you were saying too about compassion, because I think about it too is that, as you were saying, the same way that we want to see them, they want to see us too, and we're both unable to see each other. So it's
Yeah.
not just about me. I'm not getting what I want, but I'm in a relationship with another person who also is having to be separate from the person that they care about. So
Yeah.
what I'm feeling, this person's probably feeling too, and so I don't need to just think about my emotions. I need to have compassion for their emotions as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, folks, those are your relationship tips for the Rona.
Yeah.
And even once we're out of the Rona, a lot of those will still go a long way.
They
So,
still apply.
yes, yes. So this has been Fly on the Wall with my good homegirl Keita, dropping gems. And so, as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and to leave us
Share.
some comments. Yeah, leave us some comments about how these tips work out for you. Give them a try. And email us at flyonthewallMH. MH stands for mental health. FlyonthewallMH@gmail.com with any topics that you may want us to talk about, any questions you may have, or your own experience with relationships in the Rona. As always, information is below this video. And so we look forward to hearing from you and joining us back here the next time for the next episode of Fly on the Wall. Yes. So thank you as always for a good Kiki Kita.
Thank you.
All right. Love you.
Love you too.
See you later.
All righty.